So we hear all the time that marriage is your first ministry, and you are a wife first, you're a husband first, and that's your first ministry compared to everything else that you do on earth. And we get the generic, or the not even generic, let me not say that, but we get the answer that it's your first ministry because it's the one that's most important, all the things. But I'm talking to God, and He is allowing me to realize that the reason why marriage is your first ministry is because you cannot do anything fruitful in the earth if you don't have your covenant in place. Meaning, before the fruit comes, you have to have covenant intact. And so if your covenant is between you, God, and your husband, and you all becoming one and moving in His image and likeness, which is the first thing that's required, and that's the first thing that He did before He allowed for being fruitful and multiplying, having dominion over the earth, what we have to understand is that if my foundation at home, my covenant at home is not right, there's no fruit that can be produced. If there's brokenness in my covenant, then there's brokenness in the fruit. There's brokenness in the things that that God is calling me to do. Because how can I be a high priest outside, but I can't be a high priest in my home? And it's not because we get so in tuned on the actual task that is required, but we don't understand that what is really required is, if I'm not in tune with God, I can't be in tune with my family's needs, nor can I give my family the love or the abundance that they need and that God requires me to do. I get my instructions from Him and I follow the instructions. I don't get the instruction and then I follow and then He follows along on what I do. It's not that way. And so how can I do what He's called me to do if I don't have the instructor guiding me? And that's why you can't have your ministry outside doing good, but your home life doing bad. It means there's a brokenness in your covenant. And so what you're producing is not fruit. Because when God said be fruitful and multiply, He's not just talking about children. In your covenant with God, that's the identity that you receive. That's the identity and His name that He has placed on both the wife and the husband. And when you come together and join, you're operating in His purpose. Right? And so how can I operate and do His purpose and be fruitful and multiply if I don't have fruit being produced in my covenant? First, I have to have my covenant intact, and then I can be fruitful. So the ministry and everything else that comes after that God has called me to comes after my first ministry of being a wife or a husband, because that is how I fulfill His purpose. And if I have my covenant intact, the fruits align with it.